Do you love TV shows? We do too. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and we're the hosts of We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're searching for a new favorite series or ready to revisit an old classic, we're here to guide you through an infinite world of TV shows.
Each episode, we watch and discuss the pilot for shows while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storyline.
So if you're tired of endlessly scrolling and not sure what to watch next, tune in and let us do the searching for you.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our pod.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. What's up? I know you just got home from work. Per usual, this is our kind of pod setup.
Yeah.
You know, you go to work. I work during the day mostly.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes try to do a pod during the day, but it's very difficult because I usually have calls or Zooms or I have to go to a school. So, and then this is probably the easiest time for us to do it. So, yeah.
Wow, I'm usually the one gabbing at the beginning of the episode.
I know.
This is really nice.
I try to take it over. I try to see if you notice that.
No, I enjoyed it. I'm just sitting here. I'm just like, oh, I get to sit here and watch you talk.
Yeah. So I was doing a bunch of stuff while
so
you
you're
were
just
at work.
completely taking over.
Yeah. I am. I'm gonna take over the pod. So I was doing some AOPI awards, working on PowerPoint so that those will be ready to record on Friday and Saturday, and I have some school stuff to do tomorrow, and then in the afternoon after work I am going to New Orleans to the parades with Karen. Shout out to Karen. She has never been to a New Orleans Mardi Gras parade.
Are you serious?
She told me that and I about fainted. I was like, are you kidding me?
And she's lived here her whole life, right?
In Baton Rouge and Monroe, yeah.
So she's never been to a New Orleans Mardi Gras parade.
Correct,
okay.
But I'm not even sure.
She had to have been to like South Downs or something.
Possibly. I guess I'll find out tomorrow and ask her. So, yeah. I was
my drink.
I know.
I thought that was mine. I brought a drink from work. That's why I thought it was. I actually don't know. It might still be in my car.
Okay. Do you need to go get it?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah. So when she told me that, I about fainted. I'm like, why haven't you told me this sooner? Because I like going to parades. I know you do not particularly like. You don't hate it, but it's not your jam.
It's not.
I like going to parades, but really I have a set rule. I have to know at least a couple people in the parade.
Yeah.
And then I have to be someplace that has a bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be at like a friend's house that's on the route or like a block from the route.
Yeah.
Or at a friend's business that has a bathroom that I can use.
Awesome.
And that's really my rule.
Yeah.
So we're going to see the Crew of Muses tomorrow.
Awesome.
All right. Well, how was work? Was it pretty boring?
Work was fine.
Same?
Work was fine. I kind of got... I thought of something as I was on my phone. 'Cause sometimes when work is slow and you're busy doing stuff, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to play around on my phone. I'm not on social media that often, so my algorithm is really weird on Instagram.
Okay.
Because I think it's because I follow a lot of like reality TV people, and it's a lot of women who are like 40, 50 plus, and you know, like the Bravo people, and then like the older people from like Real World and The Challenge. You know, they're all my age and older now.
Southern Charm.
And they all kind of have this. A lot of them kind of have this like influencer type life when the show isn't filming. Their other job is pretty much to be like a brand ambassador for different things.
Right. Check out my white strips or try this lotion or...
So sometimes when it's not people from reality TV, it is just kind of random. Usually, I will say it's almost always women, and they're all kind of in the same age range of like 40 to 60, and they're all like influencer types. Yeah. And a lot of them are like, you know, I got divorced when I was 50. I lost all this weight. I wrote this book. Now I have like 500,000 followers, and I like, you know, speak at events and stuff. It's actually kind of cool and kind of inspiring because it's like it really is the definition of like being self-made and kind of like creating your own success and creating your own version of success. And I think it's really cool. However, the only thing that I always kind of critique are like the self-proclaimed like life coach influencers, the ones that have their content is like working out and eating healthy, and these are all these different things you can do to like lose weight, and the thing that's all fine. I have nothing against being healthy and living a healthy lifestyle. I have nothing against that. I wouldn't say I live that lifestyle or that I want to live that lifestyle, but it is cool to kind of see like, I was a high school teacher, and now I'm an influencer that goes around the country and goes to these events and do these things, and I think that's really cool. However, the thing that kind of annoys me, and I know that this is like kind of dumb, but like what annoys me is like putting this in heavy quotations, the advice that they give.
Okay, like what?
It's like it really is just very. The things they say are just so vague.
Oh, that it has to be.
And so like, well, duh. It's just kind of like it's like they'll say things like you have to create your own success, and like, well, yeah, that's how it works, and it's just like, you have to believe in yourself, and it's like, well, of course, that's the whole point, and I understand that there are people that need that, and that like when they see these people giving this advice, they're like, you know what, you're right. But I think that, I don't know, it's just, I know I shouldn't hate on it because they are being very positive and they are kind of sending out positive energy into the world. It just feels very like low effort. And I think that's why it annoys me so much. It's like, I'm not annoyed with the positivity. I'm all for the positivity, but it's just this low effort with this reward of like, 50,000 likes. And it's just kind of like, it kind of just rubs me the wrong way sometimes.
Yeah, and I find that really interesting that you said that, because there's an influencer that I follow on Instagram. I don't know how to say her name, actually. It's Bia BL or something like that. She is an influencer on how to pose for Instagram and photos.
Okay.
Like, because there are a lot of people that do Instagram and TikToks and YouTube as their living, quote unquote. That's their job. Like Lauren Norris says, we love you, Lauren. And so she posted the other day that there was a post that she made of her like on a deck at, I'm going to just make up where she was. I don't know where she was, but she was like in the Bahamas, and it was like a pier. And she was sitting in like a white swimsuit, and the photograph was being taken from. I know. Wait, just keep going. Just let me finish.
Oh, I'm listening.
Because you're going to be surprised at what happens.
Okay.
So she had obviously her husband or her boyfriend who helps her with her, her influencing.
Yeah.
Take her picture. She had on like a floppy hat, and she was doing her pose, but what she does is she always does like a left and a right. Like, don't pose like this, because this is how most of us pose. Yeah. Like, arch your back, twist your waist, put your arm up, and hold your right arm this way. Like, like when you see it, you're like, wow, I would look better if I actually did that. Yeah. Okay. So she had posted this picture of herself in the white bathing suit from behind, and the picture, and she attests to it on her Instagram, was very cheeky, and I mean butt cheeky.
Gotcha.
And she said that post garnered her like 2 million likes and like about 5,000 like followers, and they were almost all men. Yeah. And she actually posted that she was taking that post down and blocking those people from her page because they weren't who she really was targeting. She was targeting.
I can respect that.
Right. I was actually very surprised. She's like, you're not going to see this. This is never what my intent is.
Yeah.
And she's like looking at the picture when we were looking at like the analytics. Mm-hmm. It just like skyrocketed, but it skyrocketed men.
For the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, obviously she doesn't know that innately.
Well, right.
But she doesn't get that many men commenting or liking her post regularly.
Gotcha.
And so I actually appreciated that she acknowledged. And I mean, I'm telling you, the picture at all was not in any way obscene. That's why I was actually very surprised, because, you know, I'm the first to be out there like, yeah, you should not be posting this. But she's beautiful, and I've actually tried to integrate a couple of her poses into pictures that I take, and will likely do them on the cruise. But I thought that was a really like nice positive take that she made, because I think some other normal influencer would have left the picture up hoping to get more likes and more followers, because that's what they do. I mean, that's how they make their living, I guess, you know. So so that was interesting, but interesting that we've had these, you know, kind of different takes on social media lately.
The post I saw was still up. All right. So it's like, she says,
oh yeah, the BBL or whatever.
No. This is the one that I saw. This is the one that I saw that like made me think this. All right. Truth without empathy is just noise. We all see the world through our own lenses, our own beliefs, our experiences. So thinking you're spelled wrong. Truth is the truth. So
worse.
Thinking that your truth is the truth. Share your truth when you were part of it or when you asked. See, and when you do, say it with respect and leave without regret.
Like,
it's just nonsense. It's like absolute nonsense. I'm sitting here like reading it over and over again. I'm like, okay, am I like missing something? And then the your is spelling wrong. I was like, I couldn't get past that. So I was just
I want to show you the one I was talking about. So this is her. So she usually posts a left and a right of how like normal people pose.
I've seen this type of thing before.
Yeah, and
it might be her.
I really like it. I mean, I like her, but when she shared that post with her little butt cheeky picture, and again, it was, I mean, we all go to the beach.
Bad.
It wasn't obscene. It wasn't like of her butt crack or anything like that. She was simply sitting on a pier. And so I thought that was interesting that she actually acknowledged it and was like, this is not the intent of my Instagram. Maybe she's trying to get people to talk about it, because like I'm doing it on my pod and people might go try to find her like, you know, Instagram. But shout out to BBL. I don't know how to say her name.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
All right. Welcome to our episode.
Welcome to our pod today. We're on a rant about social media.
Continuing our month with shows that are named after U.S. cities, U.S. destinations. We are doing a show that I'm really excited that we did, and it was another one that we kind of immediately said, well, we have to do this one. We are both big fans of Donald Glover. We've talked about Childish Gambino several times on this podcast. We did Community not too long ago, and so we were like, well, we got to do, if we're gonna do a show named after a U.S. city, we have to do Atlanta.
Of course.
I mean, even though you hate the Falcons.
I hate the Falcons. I am a Houdat for life, New Orleans Saint.
Houdat Nation in this house.
Yes, absolutely. New Orleans Saint, born and raised.
Oh, yeah. So we will get into all of the other stuff that we always get into. But before we do all of that, Anna almost said Atlanta.
Oh, my God.
Anna is going to give us some episode and series information.
All right. Atlanta, the pilot was called The Big Bang. Atlanta was an American comedy drama that aired on FX from September 6, 2016 to November 10th, 2022 for 4 seasons with a total of 41 episodes. The series was created by Donald Glover, also known as Childish Gambino. Glover also wrote the pilot, and it was directed by Miro Hurai, who directed many of Glover's music videos, including This Is America, where he won a Grammy, and also served as an executive producer on The Bear, where he won an Emmy. The inspiration for Atlanta came from Glover's real-life stories being in the rap scene, and he took influence from other shows like Twin Peaks and Adventure Time, both known for combining absurdist humor with complex character development and mature themes in a surreal universe. The series follows Ernest Marks, a college dropout struggling to make money to provide for his girlfriend and young daughter. But things look up when Ern discovers his estranged cousin is on the verge of stardom as the next big rapper. He seeks to reconnect with his cousin in hopes of becoming his manager so he can improve his life as well as his loved ones. The cast for Atlanta includes Donald Glover as Ern, Brian Tyree Henry as Alfred Paperboy Miles.
Love that guy.
I love him.
That guy. He's one of my, I've put on record, he's one of my favorite actors.
I love him. Ern's cousin and the rising rap star, Lakeith Stanfield as Darius.
Another.
Oh my God, I love him so much too. Alfred's eccentric best friend, Zazie Beetz as Vanessa Van Kiefer, Ern's on and off girlfriend and mother of his daughter, Lottie. The series has received critical acclaim and was very popular during its run, often being cited as one of TV's best TV shows of the 21st century. Atlanta has been nominated and has won several awards, including 7 Primetime Emmys, including Outstanding Lead Actor for Donald Glover. You can currently watch the full series on Hulu, Peacock, and Prime Video.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so funny.
It is.
So can you tell me, because I didn't watch the entire show. I definitely fell off mid-COVID. I think that was when I stopped watching. Because I definitely watched the first 2 seasons. Is there a reason why you never started watching it? Maybe it's the time of year it started, or
it was 2016.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was I just met you, and I think it was just probably lost in the
shuffle
universe of everything on whatever channel it was on. I also hate the Atlanta Falcons, and I would probably never support anything with the name Atlanta in it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm for serious. Oh no. No, I probably
say you're joking.
I'm joking. I love the state of Georgia. I love Atlanta. My best friend from work, Sue, lives there, so I do love Atlanta.
So what'd you think of the pilot, though?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was good. I thought it just started fast and it just went right into it. So it was, it was very easy to watch.
Yeah.
Yes. I love a 30-minute show.
Mm-hmm.
I love a show that just knows its I don't want to say worth or value. I know like the speed that it needs to go. And that was definitely the show.
I loved that. And rewatch, because this is only the second time I've ever seen the pilot, other than when it originally aired. But I remember immediately loving it because it didn't take long for you to figure out, who Ern is. Like, an Ern, an Alfred, what's Lakeith Stanfield's name? A Darius. Like, you know people like that, and it's just, it took 5 seconds to establish, like, okay, this is that person, and it just, there was no stalling. Like, I really like that there were no like points of the episode that didn't matter or like filler. I think that's probably my main issue when we watch a pilot, or when we watch, not just for our podcast, but just for any pilot, when it's like 90 minutes long, and it's just like, but then every other episode's like 42 minutes. So I'm just like, why can't you just do like a 42-minute pilot? Like, why can't you just do why does it have to be 90 minutes long? Like I get a little impatient, especially when it's just the same thing over and over again for the 90 minutes. And there's a show that we're doing later this month, and that is where we haven't watched it yet, but it's a 90-minute long pilot, and I'm having to rewatch it again. I'm like, I really hope I have a different perspective this time, and I have a different opinion this time, because it is an extremely popular show. And anytime I tell anyone I didn't like that show, they're like, what are you talking about? It's such a good show. I'm talking about Yellowstone.
Oh, I know.
And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And like, we haven't watched it yet, so I'm really hoping that like I have a different perspective. But I love a 30-minute, 45-minute episode or a pilot, just because they do a really good job. Most of the time, they do a really good job of giving you enough information, and then you want to keep watching more. And it's super easy when it's 30 minutes long, because when it's a 10 episode season, you can finish that in like a day. Yeah. So that's what I really appreciated. It's a little bit harder when every episode's like 60, 70 minutes long, and you're like, this is going to take forever to finish. But yeah, I definitely want to keep watching it, just because I never finished it. And I mean, it's not a big commitment. It's I don't know why I can't. 41 episodes, and they're all 30 minutes long. So like that not a big deal at all.
Couple of weekends.
Yeah.
One season a weekend or something.
Yeah. All right. So the big, and you talked about it when you gave the premise in the episode and series information, but it's about like kind of knowing someone that's kind of on the verge of being famous, or someone that is famous. I would say we kind of live in an area or a hub where that generates, especially the music scene, that generates a lot of future stars, whether it's, to a small capacity or a large capacity. I think you and I have both known people, or known of people, or been acquainted with people that have gone on to do some things. Do you have any off the top of your head?
Yes, and we also, because we live so close to New Orleans, like, we know of famous people that are like in New Orleans.
Yes.
I mean, so it's kind of funny, like, that we'll follow some people on Instagram, and again, we both love reality shows, so we see a lot of the reality show people that live around and about, the New Orleans, Baton Rouge, North Shore. Trishelle, shout out to Mika, Reagan, all of our favorites from
Southern Charm, New Orleans.
I know. Bring back Southern Charm, New Orleans.
It was a good one.
All right. So I will start with high school. I have a couple of high school friends that are sort of famous. I mean, I don't know if they're famous.
Yeah.
One was a guy named Jake, who was in the movie Alive.
Okay.
He's an actor and an acting coach, I think, still today in Los Angeles. Someone he was in the class behind me, and then this person was in the class ahead of me. His name is Davis.
Okay.
And he actually has a show that was based on him that we are covering later this month.
Got
it. I don't want to talk too much about him. But I remember when that show started, and there was all the buzz on our high school Facebook page. Everyone's like, "Oh my God,
that's
he's
really
like
cool."
Famous!" And I was like, "Wow, I went to high school with him." And then from college, I went to college with Tim McGraw.
That's so crazy.
He was in Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity, which was a big fraternity that my sorority hung out with, and I remember hearing all the stories about him and playing his guitar on the deck of the Pike House. And I think I had a sorority sister that actually went out with him, and remember him going off, I think first to like Memphis and then Nashville. And he was from Start, Louisiana. Okay. So he was from North Louisiana, and he still has very strong roots. And I see on Pi Kappa Alpha members who I am friends with that there's like a big group of them that usually will go to his concerts, and he will have them backstage and meet up with them. So he's very loyal to his fraternity and university. So I think that's always nice. And then another person who I went to college with, and we are the same age, and I knew him. I don't know if he would know me, like if I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey Doug, what's up?" Like, I don't think I know him that well, but it's Doug Peterson. He was the most recent coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
But he was also the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
When they won their Super Bowl in 2018.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was a quarterback of my university's football team later when we were like juniors, but we both started as freshmen together. So cool. I knew him, and so it's just good to see that people, are successful in their fields and whatnot. Yeah. So, but again, like I was saying, like, I think it is fun that we are in a city where we do see famous people, like we've seen Trishelle at the Sanger, and in parades. And
my mom was at a salon getting her nails done, and Patricia Clarkson just came and sat down next to her.
Yeah, my brother went to high school with Patricia Clarkson. So they went to Walker. She's from the West Bank. Her mom was like a councilwoman, and
I think
lived near my mom's house.
When I did community theater, I didn't get to meet her, but I got to see her. Was someone, she kind of came in and was like, "Oh, I was a part of it." Was Lynn Whitfield. She came in and like talked about. I think she went to McKinley or Struma or something like that. She's a pretty well-known actress, but she just in case someone doesn't know who that is, she's a pretty well-known actress. She came in and like talked to us, and I just didn't have the full appreciation of it when I was 12 as I would now, being like, oh my God, I know who you are. I was just like a little 12-year-old kid, so I knew who she was, but like it would have been a lot cooler if that would have happened like 10 years later. But yeah, so I know, I think when I said famous, I just think anyone that kind of achieved some type of success and was in the public eye to some capacity. I think that's kind of what we're kind of reaching towards.
I also have one of my actual classmates who I just recently saw at my latest class reunion. You know that my class meets up all the time.
Yeah.
And she lives in Seattle, but she started with Amazon in its very, very early days, and then started working for IMDb when it first began in Seattle.
That's awesome.
And she is like the vice president of, I'm going to like look up her title.
Okay.
But she is very, very high up in IMDb.
That's awesome, because I was a fan of IMDb before it was like cool, before anyone knew what IMDb was.
Oh yeah, her title is Director of Worldwide Communications at IMDb.
That's awesome.
And it's a branch of Amazon, but that's how she got her start, was at Amazon. And at one point she was like of like client relations, but cool. Now it's worldwide communications. She was just at like the Spirit Awards. She was just posted on her Instagram, Screen Actors Guild. So
and don't you
we had study hall together back when we were freshmen. So
and don't you have a sorority sister that works for Blumhouse?
Yeah. She's Lisa. Yeah. She is one of like, I think like, I don't know how do you say like owners or one of like
I don't know. I don't know what it's called either.
Yeah.
All right, so first my cousin Eric is an actor.
Okay.
He had a small part in, what was it called, Night of the Demons. It's a lot of horror movies, and he actually had a pretty big part in a movie called Scream of the Banshee, and it was with Lauren Holly and Lance Hendrickson, which he was like the third or fourth lead of that movie. And I remember it was like a sci-fi original movie, I think, like, and I remember watching it on there, and that was pretty cool. He made his own movie called In the Hell of Dixie. Had a lot of my family members in it, which was really cool. And another kind of Baton Rouge actor, I don't think he ever like really, I hate saying it this way, but I don't think he ever really like made it big, but he lived, so the people that lived in my apartment, the apartment that when we met, the apartment that I lived in, before Rick moved in, I had these upstairs neighbors, and one of them was like an aspiring filmmaker, and he had a friend that was like an aspiring actor, and his name was Ryan Chase Lee, and he was in the Hell of Dixie with my cousin. So it was this nice little kind of like coincidence of like, oh, I know someone else that's in this movie. But it was all filmed in Baton Rouge, so it was really a cool movie I think I have it on DVD. It's a really cool movie to watch if you're from Baton Rouge, because it's all like Baton Rouge locations and stuff. And if you're a fan of horror movies.
Got it.
I also went to high school, speaking of rappers, Paperboy, we're talking about that. I went to high school with a rapper. I think he was a grade below me. His rap name is Webby, and he sang Independent, if anyone remembers that song. It was a very popular song in like 2008 or something like that, 2009. And I think he's still active. He used to collaborate with other rappers. There was a kind of my generation or my age range, there was kind of this boom of rappers from Baton Rouge that were kind of all born in the early mid 80s. And some of them went to Woodlawn, some of them went to McKinley and Lee High School. So there's that kind of whole scene, which is kind of cool because it was all like my generation. And because there was kind of like this next generation of rappers, and it was pretty cool. And then I went to middle school with a girl named Alicia Morton, and she played young Cosette on Les Mis on Broadway. And then she played Annie. It was the made-for-TV movie Annie, where she played Annie. The one with Kathy Bates, played Miss Hannigan. Alan Cumming and Kristen Chenoweth played Rooster and Lily St. Regis. Audra McDonald played Grace Kelly and Grace something. I forgot her name. And then Victor Garber played Daddy Warbucks. So it was a very like ABC Disney type thing, and it was a really big deal that she was the main that she was Annie, because we all like knew her. She played Molly and Annie at Parkview, and it was like we kind of was like, oh, that's really cool. And I think now she is a theater teacher at an Ascension Parish High School.
Oh, wow.
I think that's what she's doing now. I'd have to look into it, but so the big one for me, because I can actually say that I was friends with her, this next person I'm about to say.
Okay.
So when I did community theater, I did summer theater at Baton Rouge Little Theater, where it was basically like theater day camp. And at the end of, it was like a 2-3 week thing. And at the end of it, we would put on like a production. That's where I did Godspell, Once Upon a Mattress, Lil Abner. It was a lot of fun. Like I had a Schoolhouse Rock. Like I had a blast those summers. That's where I met a lot of my friends. And there was one girl. It was the second year I came to do the summer program, and I had just watched like 2 nights before. I had just watched a TV show called Any Day Now, and it was like a Lifetime show, I think. And it starred Annie Potts and Lorraine Toussaint, I think that's her name. And it was a really good show, and I remember really liking it. And then the next day or 2 days later, I started the camp, and it was like, okay, well, we have a special guest with us. She's a Baton Rouge local, and she's going to be, the assistant director for our summer program. It's Olivia Friedman. You may know her from a show called Any Day Now. And I was like, I just watched that show. It was like really weird. She played Annie Potts' daughter on the show, and she was like very rebellious, and she went through like all these different phases where she went through like a goth phase, and she went through like a I'm a gangster phase. Like it was really kind of interesting because she was just this very reserved girl, very typical actor, like very like reserved in real life. But we did 2 summers together for the acting program, and she was really cool, and I became friends with her. I created her IMDb page for her because I knew I was the only one who knew about IMDb at the time, and like all these actors had like bios and trivia and all this stuff, and I was like, I remember talking to her on IM, and I was just like, hey, I'm gonna create, because I knew someone on the IMDb page, so I was like, and IMDb is like Wikipedia. You can create it, you can kind of edit your. I don't know if you can still do that, but at this point in time, you could, and it was like Wikipedia where you can like edit the pages, where users could do it. And I went on her IMDb page not too long ago, and all the stuff I wrote is still there when I was like 15 or something like that.
Wow.
So yeah, that was my contribution to IMDb.
Hey.
But yeah, so I still follow her on Instagram. She lives in Mississippi now, and she's married, and she just had a baby. So
awesome.
Yeah, and she's an author, I believe. So yeah, it's so those are the people that I know. I feel like there's others, but it might just be in such a small capacity. And also, like, I would feel weird being like, I know them, but it was like I kind of knew them before they were, and it just feels like I would be like kind of
right. That's
leeching.
Like me saying I know Doug Peterson.
Right.
I mean, maybe he would remember me.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I mean, he's pretty famous, and he's probably met a ton of people in his life, and same with Tim McGraw. I mean, he might vaguely know of who I was, but he was pretty much
gonna look at you and be like, Anna Guerra? And you're like, yeah.
But he was like on his way out when I was like a freshman. So yeah.
You saw the picture of Max?
Yes.
I know, he's so cute.
Our little god puppy. All right, you have one last question. I'm ready to answer.
So I don't even know how to fully ask this question. I don't fully understand NFL rivalries because I feel like it's teams that are just close together that are in the same division.
Yeah.
That's essentially what constitutes a rivalry.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Because it used to be kind of us and like the Niners when we were part of like the NFC West at one point.
Okay.
But then
Actually, remember
we
that.
always like didn't like Atlanta either, but now we're both in the NFC South, so we don't like Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's what we always say NOLA stands for, NOLA. No one likes Atlanta.
Oh God. That's actually kind of awesome.
Yeah. And then so I have some Atlanta stories that I think are funny that I need to put out there.
Go for it.
Well,
I have,
actually
I
not
have none,
necessarily
so,
funny.
Yeah.
But first off, I moved back from Seattle to Louisiana in the summer of 2006. And a big part of me moving back was that I like a lot of my friends were gone. I mean, my high school friends were gone. My college friends, were in Monroe, so they weren't close. And then my law school friends were not really around. And so I had decided to become a Saints season ticket holder, and tickets were like super cheap post Katrina because they were just, no one was really still living in New Orleans. I mean, people didn't have money for Saints season tickets. We had had a bad season being nomads the year before. So I bought season tickets and I was at the very first home game post Katrina.
Okay.
Which was the game against Atlanta when Steve Gleason blocked the punt.
Yes.
And we scored the touchdown.
I actually know what you're talking about.
And so I was there. It was on my side of the Superdome and saw the whole thing transpire. So I was there in 2006. I also had Houston as part of my territory on and off for several years. It'll probably be part of my territory again one day in the future. Hope, you never know. But I was actually traveling and I looked it up. And so the reason I was looking this up was I didn't have Facebook in 2006. So we So, I mean, I might have gotten it 2007 or 8-ish or so. Maybe, I don't think I
got mine in 2008.
Yeah, so it was 7 or 8.
That was when it kind of became public.
Yeah. And so I was looking this up. I know you were looking at me while I was on my phone, but I had to find this picture. So I was in Houston when Houston was hosting the Patriots Falcons Super Bowl when they were in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I was staying at the hotel that was really close to like where the whole NFL experience was going to be.
Gotcha.
And so my room actually looked out into that area.
Okay.
And so this was actually, I think, like I had met you. We were not officially a couple at this point.
We were almost there.
And I said, I wrote, view from my room, it makes me kind of want to hurl, because all I could see was the Falcons and the Patriots, like the two teams I totally loathe. But this ended up being kind of a hilarious Atlanta Falcons story. They were winning going into the fourth quarter 28-3, and they lost. And so that is the game that we post a lot of memes about, that,
Gotcha.
They were leading 28-3. In fact, I think during the most recent Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Chiefs, I think there was someone on the sidelines that was like, the Patriots did it, we can too. Because I think the Chiefs were losing like 34-0 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They were
it
like,
was pretty bad.
The Patriots did it, we can too. And I kind of believed it. I was like, I'm not going to believe the Eagles won until like this game is over with. So
that was a great game.
That is also a great sort of memory for me, that the Falcons actually lost the Super Bowl. Sorry to all the Falcon fans out there. Please listen to our pod.
I'm just sitting here. I'm just like, well, no one from Atlanta likes us.
Stop. No law. We love Atlanta. But I do have fond memories of Atlanta. So my brother got me LSU SEC championship tickets to one of the games one year, and so I went in like 2015, I think. But then most recently, my friend Angela, shout out to Angela, she asked me to go to the LSU playoff game at the Peach Bowl when LSU beat Oklahoma to go play for the championship here in New Orleans. So I was there during the semifinals, during like their way to the championship. And so we were there. That was when I got pictures with like Justin Jefferson and a bunch of other LSU players, not Joe Burrow, but you know, he's pretty tightly security.
Yeah.
And that was 2019. And so I love Atlanta, the city. You know, it's a fun, good rivalry. Atlanta hates us as much as we hate them. So it's equal opportunity. But yeah, that's the rivalry. It makes the games fun. And, you know, I mean, there's always love.
You know, and yeah, I mean, like when I was looking up the history of the rivalry, and it's like, it's just because they're in the same division.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
And because they're near each other. Because it's the same with like, I mean, so is it the same with the Broncos and the Chiefs? That's really the only other rivalry that I really know about.
Yeah, because of Smosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because of Wes at work, too. I actually knew about that before. I actually knew about that before Smosh, before the Sports Jeopardy, because Wes, a guy I work with, one of my coworkers, he is a Broncos fan. His majority of his family's from Colorado. And then we have another former Georgia's employee that's from Kansas City. And so he, you know, obviously loves the Chiefs and the winning streak that they were on, and you kept making him Chiefs paraphernalia. I'm telling all of your Saints friends.
Yes.
Telling everybody.
Hey, I need money.
I was about to say, I was like, well. All right, you ready to get into this pilot summary?
Let's do it.
All right, so it was only 30 minutes, so this is going to be a pretty quick summary. All right, so we have Atlanta. It's the Big Bang. Yeah, Atlanta, the Big Bang pilot summary. Rapper Alfred Paperboy Miles gets in an argument with a man who smashes his car mirror, and his cousin, Ern Marks, attempts to stop it before it becomes violent, which becomes futile when the man insults Al's latest mixtape. It looked like AI, that's why I was like, that doesn't look right. As Al's spacey friend Darius experiences extreme deja vu, and Ern tries to stop a man from egging the confrontation on, Al takes out a gun and puts it to the man's chest, and after a moment of silence, fires. Earlier that morning, Ern wakes up next to his daughter Lottie's mother and part-time lover Vanessa Van Kiefer. As Van gets dressed, she asks Ern to watch Lottie tonight as she is going out on a date. At his job as an airport credit card salesman, Ern's coworker shows him a music video made by Al, and he realizes his cousin is a semi-successful rapper. Al declines Ern's request to work, so Ern goes to his apartment and goes to Alfred's apartment and tries to convince him to let him become his manager. But of course Alfred's just like, dude, you haven't talked to me in years. You're just wanting to milk off of my success. It's it really comes strongly across that that's what Ern is trying to do.
Oh yeah.
So Al declines Ern's request to work as his manager, feeling Ern is too collected and passive, as well as Ern not talking to him since his mother's funeral. Al privately tells Ern's father, Raleigh, that he feels as though he doesn't know Ern anymore, and they both feel that he has been different since something that happened to him in Princeton. Raleigh vouches for him regardless, saying that Ern gets what he needs to be done no matter what. Wanting to show Al his value as a manager, Ern goes to see his white acquaintance Dave, who works at a local radio station. Dave turns him down, stating the station's head would not be interested because of Al's relative obscurity. He gets into the building anyway with the help of a friendly janitor and slides Al's mixtape under the head office door. On the bus home with Lottie, he is approached by a suited man and laments his multiple failures. The man tells him that to be victorious, he must stop seeing failure and let the universe guide him, advice that Ern rejects. The man makes a sandwich out of Nutella and forcefully tries to get Ern to bite it. That was so funny. The bus stops and the man gets off with his dog and wanders into the nearby woods, leaving the Nutella behind. Yeah, I think this is where that kind of absurdist kind of Twin Peaks vibe comes from, where everything's just like, you're in this you're in your own universe. It just feels slightly off center. Like, right. It just feels a little
Something
weird.
Random happens. Yeah.
Ern almost sends Van a text saying that he loves her, something he was hesitant to say that morning. He is interrupted by a call from Al, who is happily listening to his own music on the radio, Ern's scheme having worked. He tells Ern to meet with him as soon as possible, and Ern drops Lottie at his parents' house, something Van told him not to do, and goes to him. He meets Al and Darius in a parking lot and accepts Al's offer of weed, something he claimed he no longer indulged in. Dave approaches them and lambasts Ern for his unprofessional methods, and Ern smugly tells him to retell Al a story that he told him earlier in which he used a racial slur. Dave tells it again with the slur removed and awkwardly leaves. Ern tells Al that he likes his song, but Al admits he hates it and turns it off. A man smashes his car's mirror, and Ern stops Al from getting his gun out of the glove compartment, telling him, "Don't mess with the money." To his horror, he finds the holster empty and runs after him. Back from her date, Van picks up Lottie and sees the story about the shooting on the nightly news, which states the man had only been wounded and Ern and Al have been arrested. Van furiously remarks on Ern's idiocy. End of episode. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of really funny parts. Darius, Lakeith Stanfield just kind of steals every scene that he's in. There's the moment when Ern is walking into Al's apartment, and Darius is sitting there with the what's it called that you put around
like a handkerchief?
Like a handkerchief wrapped around his face, holding like a kitchen knife, like waiting for Ern around the corner. It's like the Twin Peaks idea, kind of the whole absurdist thing. I love this show. We told you what it's on. It's on Hulu. It's on Peacock. It's on Prime Video. It's 40 episodes, 30 minutes long, super easy watch. It's so funny. Donald Glover's the best. Brian Tyree Henry's the best. It's such a great cast.
Yeah, and we still haven't heard too much from Childish Gambino since his tour was halted.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we're thinking about you, Donald Glover. We hope you're okay.
Community movie.
Yeah, we're waiting for that too.
Yeah.
So hope you're doing all right. We love you.
All right, you ready to wrap this one up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right, I have a few. So I have the peach for Atlanta, music notes, the mirror, the car, the gun, baby, airplane to represent the airport, credit card because he's the credit card sales guy. I always feel bad for them when I see them in the airport. The radio, chocolate for the Nutella, the phone for the texting, and the TV for that she's watching the news at the end. And I'll go ahead and throw it in a football for the New Orleans Saints Atlanta Falcons rivalry.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.